We want to be the first carbon registered project in Northwest Arkansas. And that would enable us to underwrite carbon credits for companies who are here locally who want to offset that and do good for the environment locally, their own water that their employees are drinking.
Hi and welcome to the Startup Junkies podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Kitson. I'm here with my co-host, Caleb Talley. How are you, Caleb?
Doing great.
Perfect. Today it's a lovely day in Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville.
Beautiful day in paradise.
Beautiful day in paradise. We're here with Carbon Chicken Project founders, Richard Ims, Turner Tomlinson, and Jody Hardin. How are y'all today?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Very good. Doing awesome. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Well, we'll get right into it. We'll kickstart it by asking if each of you could talk a little bit about your backgrounds, what's going on with y'all.
Your Wolverine origin story.
Yeah. That's right here. Yeah.
Go ahead, Turner.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so my origin story starts not too far from this room exactly. I was born and raised in Fayetteville, went to FHS here, then the U of A, did chemical engineering, and then went to the Gulf of Mexico for a bit. I worked in the oil industry. So it's really interesting to end up full circle at a place like this. Now I feel like I'm kind of trying to undo some of the stuff I did in the oil industry. Which is very strange. But after that, I was in water management for about a half decade at a firm called Phygenics. There was a lot of microbial management, a lot of helping people clean up their plumbing systems, avoid getting sick. Right at that intersection of engineering and doing the plumbing, and then the regulatory environment. So working at that cross section, which is where in this carbon industry, we're all going to be forced to operate in that cross section because the regulation is really starting to come. So. That's just a little bit about me. I ran into Jody at a startup junkie, the crawl at the Pryor Center. Jody and I met in this building. That's bizarre to reflect on.
You didn't drink any beers, did you?
I'm sure we did at that time. Yeah, because it was the whole crawl. It was very fun. But yeah, so that's kind of where I came from and how I ended up in this. And January we got seed funding, and since then we've been trying to grow the business. So yeah, I'll let Jody go next there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a fifth generation farmer from a little town in South Arkansas called Grady, Lincoln County. And I've been farming all my life, doing the farmers markets, over 20, 30 years, and ended up being the president of the Arkansas Farmers Market Association for several terms, and owning starting the state's largest basket. It was called the Basket a Month CSA in Little Rock, where we had 300 or 400 families in our CSA for about 9 years. And that was kind of the big part of my career. Had a store at the River Market. Then we moved over to Argenta, built a big market there. Moved out to Scott. We built a restaurant, nursery, farm store there, a farm. I've started 7 or 8 different farms. And so my recent endeavor is to move up here to start an innovative forever farm is what I'm calling it. And we're calling it the Carbon Chicken Innovation Farm. And this is where we've headquartered our project, the Carbon Chicken Project. And I've been working on this farm. We had one of the first hemp licenses, and we in 2018. And so we were it's an 11-acre farm. We still have our experimental hemp license where we're doing hemp research at the farm too. So we've got a really cool farm over there, and we're raising vegetables and demonstrating what we can do with our Carbon Chicken Project products. So that's basically little tip of the iceberg.
You're up.
Yeah, I'm up. So I'm also serial entrepreneur. I've had a very diverse background, unique and maybe embarrassing as well, the number of things that I've done, but all the way from getting folks into, when I was in Philadelphia, getting folks into TV commercials and movies and magazines as a photographer, videographer there, and having a franchise operation there, to working a farm and raising animals. We had 1,300 layers, 600 meat birds at any one time. We did that every 2 weeks year round. So sold to places like ONF here in town and Big Cedar, Missouri, and lots of places there. had hogs and turkeys and ducks. And so did that, trained on the farm. So that's where I actually met Jody when he was at Argenta Market as well. So we did some business together with pasture-raised chickens there. And also have background in working for Procter & Gamble and Accenture, so some corporate background as well. And most recently in 2019, started Food Recycling Solutions. So we saw a need to divert from the landfill. So many thousands, tens of thousands of tons of organics go into our landfill here every year. Almost 30% of the landfill is organics. So our idea was, of course, divert it, use that as a upcycled feedstock for to make compost for area gardeners and farmers. And so we're scratching the surface, really. We pick up about 75, maybe close to 100 ton a week, diverting that. But that's, again, it's scratching the surface. We got a lot more, and we would love to work with more businesses. It's primarily B2B. When we think about the struggle for the landfill, wanting to expand, but they can't. Some regulating authority, ADEQ, probably won't give a permit for that. But if we could get the community support, say, hey, we could actually divert that if everyone works together, and we can upcycle it to compost, which is very much needed. We have to actually haul it from other areas, Little Rock, bringing up here. And most of the cost in that is the hauling. So that's why this with Carbon Chicken Project, which we'll talk more about, it's very much an upcycling type endeavor and company. And so that's our mission. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the genesis of Carbon Chicken Project. How did that all coalesce from, you all kind of have unique backgrounds? How did you all come together, and how was that born?
That should probably be me, because I was introduced to biochar, and that was the genesis for me. Was in 2011 with a NRCS Conservation Innovation Grant. Started learning about biochar, eventually started teaching other farmers how to make it and how to use it. And that led to almost starting this business in 2014, and just realized the economics weren't there, the studies weren't there, the research wasn't there, and literally waited 10 years. And just last year, the 10-year USDA research report that I was waiting on came out, and it was very, very positive. It actually described our business to a T. I mean, it was pretty amazing. That said, a company that does this, upcycles this poultry litter, adds biochar, can be profitable. And so we kind of took that as, then we started building a team. Richard and I we met at a pitch contest at Northwest Arkansas Recycles. And he and I were, experienced farmers, and we knew that there's this huge demand for fertility, especially organic fertility, coming from his compost background and recycling. Richard's really in the vein of where Carbon Chicken needs to be up here, and he's bringing a lot of knowledge about what's happening in Northwest Arkansas. And we're targeting this 300,000 tons a year that's in Washington and Benton County surplus poultry litter that we believe is the problem to the phosphorus leaching into the watershed, the Illinois River watershed. And so our project became sort of I was looking at it from the lens of South Arkansas, where our family farm is, and we couldn't get poultry litter. It was already spoken for, what little was available down there. And a lot of farmers were saying, well, we're looking for some too. And all of a sudden we realized that there was a surplus here in Washington, Benton County, where there's the most concentration of CAFOs. And we decided to start carefully building a grassroots movement through, that's why we're calling it a project, because we really want to get the whole community behind this idea of recycling or upcycling poultry litter. But we have this, what we've been told is a really unique business proposition, and it's a lot of fancy terminology that we don't like to use, but what we're trying to create is a bioenergy carbon capture and storage system. And that is where we're just basically taking waste and turning it into energy. But ours has a byproduct. We're using a new technology called negative emissions technology, which is actually advanced pyrolysis. And most people don't know about pyrolysis, but I do believe it will be in our vocabulary pretty soon. Everybody's going to be talking about it. We believe with the excess of nutrients here in Northwest Arkansas, we can create a physical aggregation facility that would be where all of the excess poultry litter could be bought and stored. What happens is we need to compost it. We need to kill the toxic weed seeds or noxious weed seeds that are in this poultry litter. And we also need to pelletize it and condense it for farmers so that they can have a precision application. And so what we've done that's creative is we've added biochar, which enables farmers or homeowners that if they want to sequester carbon, now they have a tool, because our product is 80% composted poultry litter, but 20% pure carbon or biochar. And that carbon, once you put it in your soil, is permanent. It stays there. So with every bag of a 4-pound bag that you apply to your garden, you're going to sequester like
1.6 pounds.
1.6 pounds of carbon.
Current biochar we're using.
And that's just our little small bag. We're thinking on a large industrial scale with commercial agriculture someday, having an ecosystem where we've got carbon going in the ground, where our chicken feed is being raised so that farmer's sequestering carbon. And then when you get to Northwest Arkansas with the broiler houses, we want to be able to put biochar into the feed so it goes through the gut of the animal and it comes out into the bedding. And then we're also putting biochar into the bedding, and that's pulling that ammonia that's so toxic to the farmers. It's locking it up so that they have a better working environment. And then what we get out of that is a very proprietary, unique signature fertilizer. We're calling it soil carbon amendment. And so you've got biochar that's built into every layer, and it's picking up the biology when it goes through the intestines of the chicken so that the farmer gets this living, very bioactive soil conditioner that wakes up their, or actually releases nutrients to plants that were already there in the soil. So, the third leg to our product, sorry for taking all the time, but our third leg of the product is the inoculant that we have a secret, proprietary recipe that I've worked on for years, and we're all working on it now with a lab and scientists and chemical engineers. We've got 7 people on our team, and everybody's a pro, and we've got a lot of brains working on it. But we have a formula that we're inoculating the biochar with that will 2 or 3 times multiply the root mass. So that's carbon that's getting sequestered. And just because we have these incredible soil microbes that create larger root masses for plants, which allows them to take up more nutrients to the plant and produce higher yields. And over time, the carbon in the farmer's field or in the customer's lawn or whatever, it accumulates over time. And eventually, with long-term applications of our product, you're going to have a black soil. It's going to be, and the carbon locks in moisture. So eventually you don't have to irrigate. This has several downstream cascading benefits because we're removing poultry litter from the Illinois River watershed. We're putting it in a place that needs it, that's not going to be polluting the water stream. And then you've got these soil, we're enriching the soil with organic nutrients, but we're also displacing chemical fertilizers that would otherwise be used in soybeans or cotton or something. So we're providing farmers, we hope to, on a large scale, a tool so that they can displace their chemical fertilizers, which is a reduction in fossil fuel use on a large scale if we can actually get this to market. So our company, I'll turn this over to Turner and Richard, because Turner's our CFO and Richard's handling our expansion and capital, and these guys are doing a lot, heavy lifting to get us to phase 2 right now.
And sequestering carbon along the way too. I know that's a big buzzword, but sequestering CO2 is, once we lock it up, this is our kind of signature or business card proof of concept bag, 4 pounds. And we're truly a startup. I mean, we just started in January, so this is our proof of concept. We said we want to do 6,000 bags, and if we can do that, we're going to prove this out just in this form. Now we've also started doing 10-pound bags too, and have designs to do larger totes, which are about a 1 cubic yard for obviously larger farms. It's a per acre application. So you might do 1 or 2 cubic yards per acre application, but that's our next phase to scale to that level. But really a attractive, I think, product for a backyard farmer too, because it's easy application, being pelletized like that. That's precision application around the plant. You're not wasting a lot all over the place, just like farmers would like to do precision application. And it's time release, because it is compacted into a pellet, instantly sequestering carbon, and then also eligible for carbon credits too, if you're familiar with them too. So we're excited.
A little bit,
please.
I just want to double down on some of that carbon stuff. It's really so interesting, especially so everyone else on the team was more or less in agriculture, and then came in this direction. I was in a lot of other directions and then came to agriculture. So a lot of this I'm kind of learning as I go. And especially just all the details of all the carbon stuff. This product is really, really unique. When we scale up to 1,000-ton production per year, which is the next signpost on our roadmap here, is a scale up to that. That facility that produces 1,000 tons of our product every year will permanently sequester 600 tons of CO2 per year, and it's metric tons there. That's for the math people following along. That's 1,000 U.S. production tons to 600 metric tons CO2. It's a huge amount. I mean, and so to say every bag can do a few pounds here and there, it helps you feel good. But yeah, we're really trying to make a big impact in the poultry litter by using up a lot of it. Upcycling a lot of it, and really make a climate change impact too. And just as a small, just kind of anecdote of how unique kind of the situation is here, because it's 20% biochar, it's 20% pure carbon. All of it's sequestered, all of it's buried in the ground. And so for a full flatbed with 24 totes to go from here to the Delta where they need it and back, that whole equation is net negative when you factor in all the fuel that the flatbed would use, and you factor in all that extra weight of 10,000 pounds of product on the flatbed, and he's got to drive back, because you can't just leave the flatbed there when it comes back. There's so much sequestration potential here. There's so much actual physical carbon in it, and no one else is trying to do this. So most other people who are trying to make a big climate change impact, as soon as they add in logistics, they fail on leakage. There's just too much leakage in all these little places. Well, you truck it from here to there, you truck it from there to there. So that was something that's been hugely encouraging to us, is you will never solve all the leakage. You will never have people stop eating chicken, right? So it's much better to find a way to just kind of, science our way out of it. That's what we have to do anyways. So that's, immediately conversations internally with us. Like, well, if we did have 75, 25% biochar, that would cover even more leakage, right? So if we, that puts you in a position that's like, maybe if you ever do any international sales or something like that, maybe you could, only do a really high biochar product, because only that would offset itself. So that whole opportunity to use our core product to offset our own emissions in the system is most people don't even get a chance to play the game that way at all. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
And as I understand, I'm a novice, but I understand there's companies can purchase carbon credits too. I guess if companies generate, and there are farms that are capable of generating enough to sell, is that a potential market for y'all as well to potentially?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're already, we have a relationship started with the big, I think Pure.Earth and then Vera, the big exchanges right now. I forget which one of them. One of them was acquired by NASDAQ last year.
Puro.
Puro, yeah. And of course, that to us is just a hugely, just the market signaling that the level of sophistication is coming up here. And we've all heard the term carbon credit, for decades. But there's starting to be some real teeth in all of that regulation.
Well, biochar is becoming known as the first blue chip carbon because it's verifiable, it's tangible versus direct air capture, DAC. DAC is the other competing tool to remove carbon, CO2 from the atmosphere. So, but biochar is quickly emerging with Microsoft and Apple, all the other big companies who are already participating in carbon offsets. They're looking really hard, and all of a sudden we can insure biochar carbon credits now. So there's no risk. This is just happening in the industry. We want to be the first carbon registered project in Northwest Arkansas. And that would enable us to underwrite carbon credits for companies who are here locally who want to offset that and do good for the environment locally, their own water that their employees are drinking. So we feel like there's 500 plus big companies here in Northwest Arkansas that need to offset their carbon footprint. We are absolutely the answer, but nobody really knows that yet. We're trying to get position and get all of our technology and vendors in place, but we feel like that's our future. The BECCS, bioenergy, carbon capture and storage, is our vehicle to be underwriters of carbon credits.
And think about too, when as we expand as a country and community on electric vehicles, then that makes our transport issues via diesel a lot more palatable, and then you're really qualifying for greater and greater carbon offsets in that case. So even if we did it by rail, we're better off than individual truck diesel. So there's other answers to the transportation issue there too.
Could any of y'all talk a little bit about what in particular draws y'all to this mission that you have going on of kind of recycling the waste, obviously helping the farmers, helping the environment? I understand that y'all have a background in agriculture and you're particularly newer to this. Is there anything in particular that draws y'all to that mission?
Yeah, probably like a lot of folks, are kids, and maybe in my case, grandkids too. So we talked about this previously. I feel like if I'm ever challenged on, hey, there was a big problem with climate change, did you ever do anything about that? And I can proudly say, yes, I did what I could. I did my part. I tried to be creative, and I was thinking about your future, and so you guys too.
Yeah, I think that's the same with me. Is that I want to feel like I've left a legacy and something meaningful. And this is something that if I dedicate the next chapter of my life to this, I feel like we're definitely going to pay off. It's going to pay off, especially the 4 or 5 big benefits to our project, to the environment. I feel like we're definitely going to hit a home run. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take us to have a meaningful impact with our project. But I feel like I'm 5th generation, and it's just my generation. The previous generation were polluting in our family, unknowingly, and I feel like it's a chance for me to transition our family farm from a chemical base to an organic farm, and that's where I'd like to be part of that whole transition from chemical farming to regenerative farming. And we have created that one tool that farmers can just use, this one tool, and be regenerative. I mean, we're doing organic nutrients, then we're sequestering carbon, and they don't have to do any chemicals. They reduce their chemical needs. It's a fantasy to say we're eliminating their chemicals, but we can definitely reduce that impact on our environment while we're, removing it from the watershed up here, where it's our drinking water that's leaching. The phosphorus is leaching into our recreational water in Oklahoma, and that's where I feel like we could have a direct impact.
Yeah, and I think for me, obviously the whole climate change conversation is just really front and center for me. I was not when I left my previous job, I had built a blogging firm with a partner. And so that was, we were working that. That was fine. I was having fun doing that. And I had started to think and talk to my wife, like, am I ever going to go back to like a big company job, or do I want to grow this company or like start some other company? And at that time, I was really aware that I was not going to basically stress myself out over something that was not actually like having a big impact. And I mean, what's the biggest thing that we need the biggest impact on? It's the whole climate change thing. So I think I was kind of pulled in that direction. And then when I met Jody and started hearing about it, and then over a couple months, learned more and more and more, then I was more fascinated, from the business and engineering side, that it's one of those true alchemy moments in business where you can take a waste product, in the case of like the food solids, or in the case of like the wood chipping, you can take a waste product, typically get paid a tipping fee to take it. That's not true for chicken litter. But already there's something very interesting going on. And then on the other side, when you look at the pyrolysis, which essentially just bakes stuff until it's biochar, that takes the chicken litter and converts it to biochar. This is good. We can do sequestration with that. We can improve soil with that. It generates electricity, which, add it to the list. So we can do waste to energy with this too. And the poultry litter has no home now. It's not like you have to fight over it. That's 300,000 tons surplus.
Well, there's 3 million tons.
3 million tons,
in our region
Per
but There's
year.
about 300,000
Per year.
surplus.
Yeah.
That's unanswered.
Yeah, the 300,000 is
Huge.
just the litter that doesn't have a home. That's just the extra litter. So
Every year.
I think that helped me stop kind of walking toward it and start running toward it and say, okay, what do you guys need? Let's figure this out. Because very rare do you have an opportunity to do something that's just unquestionably good on this many, on this many levels, can change so many things for the better. And of course, we need scale to do that more. So, we're looking for people for the 2025 spring season, larger farmers who can just reach out to us and start getting on our list. We need those. We're working to build those orders to expand the equipment to offer a really big commercial offering in 2025. And so that's, we've mentioned scale so much, they just kind of dovetail there. That's where like that scale conversation comes back to the business case.
So that means we're raising capital. We're looking for
I left my checkbook at home.
partners. Yeah, right. Darn.
Smart.
Take the couch cushions around.
Missed your chance.
Yeah. So and we're looking for partners to sell the product as well. Obviously, locally, we're looking at entering some online platforms potentially as well. But the big thing is to do our next phase. Is to raise the right amount of capital. And this, to give you just insight real quick, we are partnered, we got our poultry litter from an underserved community called the Hmong community. And many of them are involved in raising chickens. So that's our source for diverting that currently out of these concentrated CAFOs is concentrated animal farm operations. So that's we want to also, another cascading benefit is helping take care of some underserved communities because we're paying them for that litter well, and partnering. We actually we have a Hmong farmer who is a co-owner of this company, so we're bringing them in as partners in that. Yep.
So it's an opportunity, a rare opportunity, to be a part of a very multifaceted solution that the benefits are broad for the environment, the community. It's not just solving a solution for one potential customer. It's a rare opportunity to really have a multifaceted problem solving.
It's a circular economy, and it's very difficult. That's really what we're trying to do. And the economic engine of that circular economy is poultry litter, in our case, and carbon. Or you could say it's the tool to get there is pyrolysis. And with the latest developments, we're able to create electricity on a small scale. But as we scale our system up, we could actually provide a meaningful power supply to Northwest Arkansas if we could, get the investment capital. But it's there. The technology is there. It's just, nobody's really ever tried to create a circular economy around poultry litter. And so we're calling it a we're trying to term this a carbon negative farming ecosystem, so that at every level in the poultry industry, we're sequestering carbon. So that the whole industry as a whole will be more climate friendly. It's not going to be carbon negative until we can produce. What we would like to do is produce the first carbon negative egg and carbon negative broiler in the country and have it verified. And so that's really our goal, is to not only create bioenergy from waste, but to create a product that goes to market where our customers can show their appreciation for farmers who are going the extra mile to reduce and mitigate, climate change. And so we feel like being in Northwest Arkansas, this is a great place to launch a product like that, but we need to create a large-scale circular economy to get sort of our franchise idea together, how we're going to duplicate this from poultry farm to poultry farm. And so there's a big idea here, lots of spin-off ideas, like, with just biochar alone, we haven't mentioned all of the use cases like EV batteries, ways to remediate wastewater, by using them in socks and stuff along the Illinois River watershed. We can, when we have heavy rain events, we can use these socks to soak up the phosphorus, and then we can take that filter, basically the biochar, and turn it back into a fertilizer that's rich in phosphorus that farmers will pay for. So there's a lot of opportunity with biochar, and it's a brand, but it's fairly expensive for farmers. They can't access it. So we're this company who's trying to build up this demand for it, as well as the equipment to produce it, because we believe once the big poultry companies realize how important it is medically for the health of the bird, where there's dramatic research that shows an increase in bone mass density and the health of the flock, in the working environment for the farmers, the air they're breathing.
Reduce mortality on the bird.
Yeah, it's just...
It was more than 10% reduced mortality. The study I looked at on just introducing biochar into the feed. And the theory there being that it increases the feed efficiency.
Yeah.
Biochar, we haven't mentioned this yet, but biochar is essentially totally hollow. It has a ton of surface area in it. That's why it's good. It's near activated carbon, which is like what's in your Brita filter. That's why it's good at soaking everything up. That's why it's good at doing water retention. And so for the same reasons, they think the feed efficiency is just giving a lot more surface area for the typical digestion chemical reactions to just happen, and just happen more and at higher quality. And so the same thing in the soil. Biochar allows all the normal nutrient exchange reactions to just happen faster and with more efficiency.
It's so porous that 1 gram has 3 yards of surface area into every gram. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around that, but the porosity is amazing. And we do have a lab, actually. Our seed funding allowed us to partner with a lab here in town. So we get the electron scanning microscope images of what we have, and we can QA/QC our product all along the way and really tweak it at a high level.
So tell me a little bit about this product here. Who is the ideal customer for this, say the 4-pound bag? How have y'all taken this to market, and ideal customer, and how are you educating them?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I'll just start with the ideal customer, just anyone with a backyard garden or just yard that they think about. I mean, if they're in the store, the nursery, or the plant store already, anyone who's already planning on or going to buy Miracle Grow this year, that person would absolutely we would say should be using this instead.
Even indoor potted plants.
Yeah, indoor potted plants. Raised beds outside or lawns, but of course, indoor potted plants, your nice, big, pretty fiddly fig, snake plants, your sort of more ornamental plants. Veggie gardens. I think we've had some people...
Green up your lawns.
Yeah, it'll green up lawns. It takes maybe about 2 weeks to kind of disintegrate if you just kind of broadcast it. And a little goes a long way too. We have a Ziploc on the 4-pound bag, and that's specifically because it's designed for you to take a half cup, maybe a cup, and spread it around the base of a plant, and then just water it. And since we pelletize it, it has this time release in it. So every time you water it, then sort of another layer, it's going to bloom a little bit more and feed a little bit more. And then eventually it just looks like black dirt. Well, the 4 pound bag is meant to last a normal person, most of the season. They can, if they use it at the start, if they want, all season long blooms, right? Every 3-4 weeks, maybe add a little bit more. Yeah.
So I'm your ideal customer.
You're the ideal customer. Yeah, definitely.
I like to look at our product as a maintenance product for the summer. If you want to keep your fruit, keep production going, you want your flowers to bloom all summer. It's so easy, and it's like it can make you feel like you got a green thumb anyway. Pretty easy to take care of, and just keep some on there. Like every 3 to 6 weeks, apply another handful to the base of your roses or whatever. And we're already seeing great testimonials, feedback from customers. But this is our first year to really get the pelletized product out there, and we're getting great testimonials from farmers.
Why has it taken till now for a product like this to emerge within Northwest Arkansas?
This is we have a history here, and I know there's a lot of people out there right now listening to this podcast going, this has been done and it's been tried a couple of times and it has failed miserably. And what is different? Well, there's a lot of things different today, especially our environment right now is different. There's actually a market for carbon credits. There's actually cost shares from National Resource Conservation Service, NRCS, to share the cost of up to 50 to 75% of our product on an acre of land. I mean, it's really, there's all these incentives that weren't there thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act and some other things that have happened to a lot of grants out there through the USDA to stimulate this type of bioeconomy. And so we're kind of like plugging into that right now.
Yeah, I'd say part of that, it's really interesting. It was just last year, I think, NRCS came out with that policy you were alluding to there, NRCS 336. That offers
conservation practice.
Conservation practice 336. It offers 50 to 75% reimbursement for buying the biochar product and installing it. We haven't talked to anyone in Arkansas who's used it yet. We haven't partnered with someone to try and use it.
It's brand new.
It's brand spanking new. Policy moments like that are starting to happen. The overall kind of awareness of biochar is shifting. So kind of answer your question of why now. It seems like we're reaching that tipping point of people realizing we have to do something different. So then they have a little motivation to change. So then they have a little motivation to learn, and we've got an opening. We've got an opening to introduce something slightly new. People know about chicken litter. There's going to be a whole host of people right now who are going to say, oh, they're right. This biochar moment is happening. I should start a biochar business and sell people 100% biochar. But that's sort of one of the differentiators that our firm brings to the table is that Jody's been working in biochar for a decade. It's not an accident that it's 80-20, right? We're trying to balance giving people the best benefits of biochar, which they probably aren't going to take the time to fully understand or care about, with the thing that they kind of already do understand. I mean, there's a general awareness that chicken litter has a lot of nutrients trapped in it. If we can solve that logistics problem, put them in the right place, it's better for everyone. So this kind of combo fertilizer plus biochar, that's how you end up with it saying soil amendment and not fertilizer. It's kind of interesting, but that's the why this product, why now? Yeah.
And I feel like there's a important education piece for the folks that you're engaging with at various points of the folks you're interacting with. For me as a target, customer, how are you reaching folks like me, educating me on the benefits of this broadly?
It's tough.
Not well yet. It's maybe the first thing I'd say.
I'll buy a couple more bags, but
Slow,
okay, perfect.
slow education, I guess, through social media appearances at Ozark Natural Foods and farmers markets.
First Thursdays, I saw that.
First Thursdays.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the down and dirty work of individual interaction there. Hopefully podcasts like this can help educate as well. But yeah, it's so new, but folks are looking for, I think, local and also innovative solutions. They understand that they don't necessarily want to have synthetic fertilizers in their ground, and so it's just slow and steady education process.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's no we don't buy ads or anything like that yet. So it really is, if we haven't talked to someone or tried to explain what we're doing to them, they probably don't know. So yeah.
Well, should we land the plane?
Land it.
It's about time. Okay. So the final question we like to ask is, if you could go back in time with all the accumulated knowledge you have now through this experience, through your past experiences in business, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Your younger self?
Your younger self.
That's a good question, man. Who wants to start?
I'll start. Mine's easy. I just say buy Apple stock. Just, set it and forget it. Don't overcomplicate. Buy a bunch of Apple. Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably tell myself to hang on to that Bitcoin I bought for $100. Or that NVIDIA.
Man.
Is there any advice y'all would give to y'all on the professional side of things, and in terms of advice to help grow Carbon Chicken Project? Or
maybe in my case, trying to focus more, become a subject matter expert in fewer things. I guess there's advantages to being kind of this jack of all trades, because the summation of all my background brought me to this point now. So it's really a balance of those things, but really, I think dedication to a focused area is kind of what I think I would advise my younger self. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. For me, I think, honestly, I believe I probably should have, I couldn't have changed anything. I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I don't regret any of my decisions. So I guess, honestly, I couldn't have changed anything, because today I feel like I have network capital. And I'm pulling on that right now. My network capital is, I've spent a lifetime building that in Arkansas, and I know thousands of people, as a result of being a merchant, having a grocery store and dealing with thousands of people in Little Rock for, a decade down there. I feel like I have a good feeling and what farmers are looking for, and what's wrong with our environment, what's wrong with farming. And I wouldn't know that, 30 years ago. I was just figuring it out. So anyway, that's my answer.
Don't change anything.
Yeah, I guess that.
That's a good answer too. That's as good as it gets.
I couldn't. Yeah.
I mean, mine would probably be, especially coming into like a new domain, is like read all the books, talk to all the people. But the real advice I give myself is like probably also like slow down a little bit. It's I think that's like a constant thing for me, because especially something like this, it's like such an interesting opportunity for all of us to make the company together and everything. And so that the passion, drives urgency. But you can't do that all the time. It's nice. You got to remind yourself, like, just slow down, catch your breath today. It's fine. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, right? So remember that. You got to keep that marathon pace up, not necessarily a sprint pace all the time. So, yeah.
Awesome. So our actual final question is for the listeners out there that are interested in learning more about what you are working on, want to track progress, want to get in touch with y'all to ask questions or connect. How do they best connect with y'all?
Best way is, I think, online, carbonchicken.com. You can research further, interact with us, sign up for the newsletter, and look for us in stores. Ozark Natural Foods, like I said, is a great partner. We're getting into some of the some other store nurseries and whatnot. So
we're at Sharon's Nursery, and we're at Springdale Farmers Co-op. And Ozark Natural Foods is probably our, we're going to do some special things with them in the next few weeks. So.
And if you're outside the region, you can order online.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, carbonchicken.com. We ship out of there, or we ship from here, but we take orders on the site. And obviously, we're on most of the social media where anyone listening would like to try and find us, Facebook, Instagram. You can find accounts there. Always trying to level up our engagement on those things. LinkedIn. Yeah, I didn't even mention it's one of the biggest ones. Yeah, LinkedIn. So go to our website, buy on our website, and we'll ship it to you. It'll be great.
Yeah, and also we have a innovation farm here that's right outside of Fayetteville, where if groups or companies want to hear more about what we're doing and dig in deeper to our carbon offset credits, that would be a great place to come out. We'll give them a tour. We'll schedule something.
Awesome.
We're doing that once a week out at the farm. We'd love to have anybody that wants to come out. We will come to a corporate boardroom and explain our bioenergy carbon capture and storage system if anybody wants to hear that. And I think be some smart companies who gave us a call because we haven't really been out there yet. We're kind of getting our stuff together, but that's really what we want to do.
Awesome. And that's it here in Fayetteville?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's out on Harmon Road. It's closer to Tawny Town, but we've got a lot of research going on out there with cover crops, with different application rates of our product so that we can have a real scientific research on carbon. And we feel like we're the first carbon farming focused group. You know, it's carbon farming is going to be the kind of the future, we think. We wanted to set up a long-term research farm to do this. So,
well, thank you guys.
Appreciate you
sharing the gospel of carbon chicken.
The gospel, yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it? Yeah, a little bit.
We're going to steal it.
Yeah.
Ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, mayors, if you're interested in taking your economic future into your own hands, we've got a book that can help you. Creating Startup Junkies, Building Sustainable Venture Ecosystems in Unexpected Places is the guide. It's a little bit inspiration. It's a little bit toolkit. What it will allow you to do is take your economic future into your own hands and build a sustainable small business, innovation, and entrepreneurial ecosystem in your backyard. If you'd like to hear more, check out creatingstartupjunkies.com. The Startup Junkie podcast reaches over 100 countries and has had over 100,000 downloads. If you're interested in reaching some of the most motivated and engaged innovators and entrepreneurs on a worldwide basis, give us a shout.